Seconds, here we go.
In the club, we'll do it tonight, yeah. From the back to the left to the right, yeah. All them girls looking hot, looking tight, yeah. Come on and move from the wall to the light, yeah. I don't know, maybe you didn't hurt me. Gonna lose it tonight, yeah, no mercy. We're gonna turn it up crazy. We're gonna turn it up, ooh. Let me see your hand, let me see your hand. Let me see your hand, let me see your hand. Let me see your hand, let me see your hand. Let me see your hand, let me see your hand. Let me see your hands, let me see your hands. Let me see your hands, let me see your hands. Let me see your hands, let me see your hands. Come around like you dance, don't care. Popping bottles, you know how we do.
Hello, everyone, to the Spot Real Talk. My name is Tiara.
I'm LaWanda.
I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Ron.
And today we are here to discuss Insecure. It's finally back.
Yay!
Long overdue.
So this is the final season, you guys. The final season.
I know. I'm gonna be sorry to see this show go. I was live tweeting the episode, and I was just saying on Twitter, I was like, man, I'm gonna miss these mirror scenes.
Oh, you know what? She can do a whole comedy act on those mirror scenes. She's just so funny. And that throwback mirror scene is just, it was just, I mean, I was hollering on that.
Yeah, she was still happy and optimistic. She wasn't so jaded yet.
Exactly.
Yeah, I really enjoyed having the episode come back, and then the fact that it's set with them going to a reunion from their alma mater, Stanford University. And so it's like a big reunion of everybody, because I think last season where it left off, there was a lot of awkwardness going on within the friend group, some strained relationships, definitely between Molly and Issa. And you even seen, Molly consulting Kelly this episode, asking her about, how she got back on one accord with Tiffany. And so I think that they're on their way there. They gave me hope for their friendship.
And Kelly has to be one of my favorite characters. I mean, she keeps me in stitches. I mean, you can't ask Kelly anything without her coming out sideways with something funny.
And I think it was cool that they had the reunion at Stanford too, because Issa really did go to Stanford. Mm-hmm. So that was cool. And I thought it was funny how they killed Kelly off.
Mm-hmm.
And said Kelly died. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I was like, is there something I don't know about? Did she have some kind of terminal illness that I'm not aware of?
No, I think people do that sometimes though. The rumor mill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what they were killing, that rumor mill.
Yeah, I had a chance to watch the wind down, and they were talking about the idea to open the show there is so we can get it, kind of get a glimpse of what it was like when they first met, so we really understand the friendship, how it developed and where it all began. And so you can think about that as, this is the first episode of the final season for us to get that background, because this is going to be, I guess, a season of closure.
Well, maybe it's because I'm a man, but I was thoroughly impressed with Kelly and that leg lift. I'm serious.
Oh, the stanky leg.
That leg lift, when she grabbed her leg. Look, I was thoroughly impressed, okay? I'm just saying.
But in a little obituary, they said that she was known for having the best stanky leg, which is a dance. And she was working it out over there. I saw her.
She was working it. But Miss Shy,
she was the life of the party.
Yeah, Miss Shy was working it too now. She got her little stanky leg going on. Of course, she's got a little other things going on, but I'm sure we'll talk about later.
Look, can we go ahead and put Cheyenne on to get the hands
list?
Oh my goodness.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. She get a hand, a foot, and a fist. Whatever you can throw at her, she deserves.
You're like, who does that to people they know?
Yeah, that's
right. Crazy. Right. She set them up, and what was crazy is she was like, she made sure to get Molly's shoes because Molly had the good Amina Muwadi shoes on. So she was like, "Oh, those expensive. We'll take your shoes."
Right.
I'm like, that was
Yeah,
foul.
but
I was like, wow.
He's like, you don't want mine? You know,
No.
giving them away. She still didn't want them.
She was like, "No, not yours."
So
It
let's talk about Kelly for a minute because she seemed to be kind of a point of discussion for the show. She's in the car. It seems like the whole period Kelly had was in her feelings. Maybe thinking about how she's perceived or how she's been perceived and how people still perceive her. And, I don't know. I don't want to say because I'm a man, I'll get in trouble. So I'm going to stay out of trouble for right now with the insecure. But there you go, Tiffany. You're just waiting for me to say something wrong. But but it just seems like she was much in her feelings. And I'm not certain if it was something that Issa or Molly, Derek or Tiffany did. I just think that she's, I think we were talking earlier about age, and you get to a certain age and you want to be looked upon differently, but they still have that old stereotype about her.
Yeah, but I think I think you're going to your reunion expecting to meet all these people and catch up, not to figure out that you're dead and that all these people think that you're dead. Mm-hmm. And I think it gave her a chance to hear how people really, what they really think of her. Mm-hmm. And I think that had an impact on her. One, it makes you think about your own mortality, but then you get to hear people's real opinions, and you check that with what you think of yourself. Like, that's really what y'all think of me? Is that really what I'm putting out? Is that the perception you have of me? I think that made her stop and take stock.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I appreciated how they tried to give her flowers when they did the fake eulogy and stuff, and they loved on her like that. So I thought that was cool.
But the other part of it is she makes everything a joke, and so she's getting a little bit older, and I guess it's all fun and games when you're kidding, but when you start to think, oh, that's what you think of me, that y'all don't take me seriously, I think that would make you want to stop and take stock and are y'all laughing with me or at me? That's kind of what I got.
And it may be a little bit of both. It may be a little bit of both because, you are what you eat. I've said it before. If all you do is joke about everything, and it seems that Kelly does, some people will take her for face value, and then some will say, oh, that's Kelly being Kelly. So, at some point, she's either going to change her ways or just accept who she is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was thinking about, I think the show was Insecure, right? So everybody's insecurities are on full blast.
Right.
And we see that with Kelly, and she's the strong friend. She's the friend that always has an answer for everything, and she doesn't seem to have too many vulnerabilities on the surface, but as you go deeper into her character, the funny friend is usually a way of deflecting, when you try to be the funny friend or you always in a good mood or something like that, like you're that friend. But that friend, the strong friend, they always have a lot of things going on under the surface that they don't necessarily project to everybody.
Exactly.
That's true.
And same with Issa. I mean, she has definitely come up in life. She's doing well now that she has started her entrepreneurial journey. And in her friend group, she's kind of be what they thought she would be. She was always the slacker kind of. And so now that she's kind of on and she's doing well with her project, and now she's speaking on this panel, she gets to sit up there amongst other entrepreneurs, and she still feels insecure because it's always that feeling of I'm not where I'm supposed to be, or somebody else is doing better than me in my journey. Am I not where I'm supposed to be?
They pissed me off on that panel because I felt like her responses were real, and it was good feedback about entrepreneurship and her real experience. And these folks were saying BS.
Well,
it was
giving the
BS.
answer that
Well,
everybody wants to hear.
It was canned
It wasn't real
responses.
necessarily.
It wasn't real. They weren't authentic. And then everybody was cheering for them. But when Issa was giving them real talk,
it might have been real talk,
it was crickets.
but her responses were empty. You know,
Their responses were empty.
no, well, no. Their responses were controlled, like robotic. But Issa being real, and you know, you're at a place where you're supposed to be talking positive about yourself and your business, and Issa is going through this reality check about herself and her business, and she's realizing that her business isn't where she wants it to be, or perhaps even where it should be. And now she's trying to make some determination as to whether she's wasted her time. So, and I say empty, but I don't mean to say valueless, but I'm just saying being on a panel like that, the idea was to talk about your business and entrepreneurship and how you have affected, or it has affected you. And she was empty in her discussion.
I thought her responses were real, because when you are starting a business, it is, the grind is good and bad. It takes a minute to turn a profit. There are challenges, and I thought that she was being truthful by talking about those experiences, whereas I felt like the other people were being empty and saying what they thought the audience wanted to hear.
Well, I guess we know in real life when we attend these things, these people, their stories are curated. Right. And so Issa may be the one who just doesn't have that type of training yet. But I also think in her second response, as she was speaking about her business, it was coming out really what she thought about her relationship with Lawrence. That's what I got from that part. Where she wasted her time, right? She invested all of this, and I think she was making that correlation.
I thought it might have been at Molly as well. I kind of felt like, was she actually talking to, Molly, wasting her time trying to get back to something that may never get back to the way it used to be? And typically, I mean, they had a hell of a breakup in season 4, and I don't know if people survived that kind of breakup.
Yeah, and now what all of you guys are saying could be true. It could be like a reflection on everything.
It could be all of the above.
Yeah.
Because I mean, being an entrepreneur, that's scary. It takes a lot of bravery to do that, to leave the norm, and try to pursue your own goals. And then even in a relationship, when you're thinking about your future with somebody, like this situation could be something that's permanent. And I think she's realizing that with like Lawrence and the Condola situation, a temporary fling could very soon turn to something very permanent once a child is born in it. And then like with Molly, having friends that you've known for years, and they're your friend because of the time that you've put in with them, but maybe they don't necessarily serve you anymore. And so I think that it's a reflection of all of that in one.
Right.
And we kind of seen by the end of the episode where she had actually you seen that at the beginning of the episode, because Molly asked her, like, are we going to be okay? And she didn't really give a response because they got interrupted by a text. And then at the end of the episode with Lawrence, it was kind of like, by then it seemed like she had time to reflect on everything. And she was just like, yeah, no.
At least for now. Because I was saying off camera, you see the previews for the season. It looked like she was giving Lawrence googly eyes, unless that's just editing in one of the previews. And then you can hear her saying too, like, oh, he's back. So it led me to believe, I was saying to LaWanda offline camera, that I felt like the distance was an issue. We know the child situation is an issue, but I feel like the job in San Francisco, the distance is an issue too.
Yeah, and you and I were offline talking about this male-female relationship situation. Yes, you and I, Tiffany.
I know,
You
but did we
and
put it
me.
like
Yeah, I'm gonna put it just like
that?
that because here we go again with Lawrence having to read um, Issa's mind as to where she is with this relationship. At one point, he's trying to feel her, and she's taking a step back, and then on another end, she's dealing with it, and she may want to come back. I mean, how does he deal with all that at one point? How does he know what Issa wants, or how should he react to Issa at this point?
Well, I think he's trying to give her space and grace because, first of all, I mean, that is a lot to deal with. It took a lot for them to find their way back to each other. And then as soon as they do, he's expecting a child with someone else. I mean, that's a tough pill to swallow. And then not only that, he takes a job in another city,
It was
So
over. It was over.
when he took the job, they were together. They were together
Yeah,
when
they
he decided to take the job.
that it could work.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
things were falling apart, and he could see that. She could see that.
They were together when they decided. She just decided not to hold him back. She didn't want to get in the way of his dreams. But they were together when he decided to take the job. I think she tried to make it work. But I think it's challenging, the distance and him expecting a child with someone else. That's a lot.
Well,
Yeah.
but I have a term, a JUD, a geographically undesirable date. They don't work out.
Yeah, but I think it's the perspective of being older that, it's rare that you'll find that first love. And that's the reaction you have probably when you're in your late 20s, early 30s. That you can be, I guess, very idealistic. Like I maybe he's not the mate for me because he has this baggage. When you older, your perspective is it's rare to have that type of connection. And so maybe her thinking would be different because I think now it's based on expectation that she would be the one, that they would be married, that they would have kids, that she would be the first person to be the mother of his child. And I think
I said that to Ron offline.
it's dealing with that kind of a disappointment. And I think it's more that, and that's ego, because when you look at people like baggage, then that's almost like you want to discount people's experience. And it's only when you're older that you understand it's not baggage, it's experience.
Yeah,
and the longer you live, the more you get. Right.
I agree with that. And while we all look at Issa's, Kelly's, Tiffany's, and Molly's insecurities, we don't stop to take time to think about Lawrence. He has them too.
Mm-hmm.
And his response is basically on his insecurity.
Mm-hmm. And you guys are talking a lot about like reflection, like self-reflection, but throughout this whole series, I think we've all kind of wished that we could have like that moment with ourselves in the mirror. And in this episode, it's Issa talking to her younger self. Yeah. And so she's kind of like giving her the warnings, like such and such is cheating on you. And then she's like, oh, do this, build this app. And she's like, what's the app? That wasn't even around back then. And so it's like that. Mm-hmm. That reflective experience you have as like your older self versus your younger self. And then even as her younger self was kind of talking to her and saying, like, oh, you did good. We did good for us, we on. And so she was proud of what Issa had become. But also Issa still was able to reflect back on her younger self and, see that she had made growth. And so I thought that was positive, given what she had been through, that weekend, feeling kind of like down on how she performed at the panel, but seeing her growth from college to where she is now, I think that was upbuilding for her, at least.
I also like Kelly's, I don't know, was it a podcast she was doing?
Podcast.
Yeah. And the introspection that she brought out. I thought that was a telltale for the whole program. It really put everything into perspective, because that's exactly what they were doing this whole show. this whole period, just that introspection. So I did like that with Kelly. That was the serious side. I think Kelly needs to bring out more, and and to my opinion, I like that look on her.
Yeah, I agree. And somebody who has been extremely humbled, Molly. I mean, she was very humble this episode, especially when she was trying to ease her way back in with Issa. It's just like it's crazy how those tables turned, because the way Molly used to treat Issa, it was so foul, and just to see where she is now, she's still seeing her therapist. And even Molly is having, it seems like, regrets about how things went down with Andrew. And she has this old flame from Stanford that's now interested in possibly rekindling things.
Omari.
And I think it feels good for her to feel wanted by somebody, because I think that she's been humbled to the point where she felt rejection from Andrew, and she felt that rejection from Issa. And I think that she's not used to that, and it started affecting her mental.
But she was the one that that pushed Issa away, though.
Exactly. And she pushes everybody away. I mean, it's just interesting. Her introspection, of herself. I mean, I guess you can get tired of being you sometimes. Just all of the nastiness, the evilness that she did with Issa. It would be I'd be very interested to see if Issa can fully recover from a Molly attack that she's had all these past years. It's a lot to ask.
Yeah, it seemed like part of Molly's issue was she was very needy, and that's what we kind of figured out from the first seasons. And even when she was talking about Omari, she was, going down that path, down that rabbit hole of asking all of these questions that weren't even relevant. You just met this guy, seen him for 10 years, you weren't thinking about him 10 minutes ago. So why is the fact that you ran into him causing you all this stress? And I think that's what she needs to deal with, even with Issa, because they really started having friction when Issa started to go, really started to grow, and she wasn't there for her in the same way that she'd always been, and she couldn't handle that. She couldn't handle Issa's growth. And so it really had to do with some kind of neediness in her, needing to have somebody there to make her feel good and to validate her.
Thank you. I felt like that. I felt like she was comfortable with Issa being the one that always need help, like Issa having a problem with the job, and Molly was supposed to be the together one, but having a great job and as a lawyer at the law firm, this, that, and the other and stuff. And I think soon as Issa started growing a little bit and doing her own thing, even when she went to the block party and she expected it to fail, I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
She was surprised that it was successful and everything. So I think, some people are comfortable with being I'm up here and you're up here, as long as you're not, we're not on the same level and I don't view you as my peer.
Well, she also appears to be the type of woman or person, because men are that way too, who has to have people around them that need them. Not that she just being needy herself. She needs to have people that need her. As long as Issa needed her, would come to her for her problems, and that was fine. But the moment that she saw Issa stepping back, growing, not needing her much, it became a problem.
It was a way to make her feel superior.
Right.
That you get your self-esteem from other people.
Right.
But it was kind of too what I was saying about Kelly is the way that people see you and the perspective they hold of you. And the idea that Issa was a slacker. And I don't even see that, because what you realize now is that she was just in the wrong career. She wasn't living out her passion. And of course, you know, it would seem like she wasn't enthusiastic about it. Well, a lot of people are not when they're not doing the thing that they feel called to do or that they dream about doing. They're just going through the motion. So you go back and you look at it, and she just needed to find her way. She just needed to find that thing.
Yeah. How many slackers can get into Stanford? And you know, that, I mean, not saying that college is everything and college for everything and the school makes the person or whatever, but I'm saying that is a top-notch school, and not everybody can get into Stanford. So I don't think that she was always a slacker or a slacker at all. I think it's just what you said, that she hadn't found her niche yet.
Yeah. And she needed to find the thing that will make her come alive. Because if you take a job at a nonprofit when you have all this potential, but they got you in this box doing this thing, you might walk around kind of depressed too, not really knowing what you're supposed to do, feeling unfulfilled. And I think that's what it was. And you have a friend that's comfortable with you doing that because it makes her feel good.
Right.
I don't know if it was on a live. I'm not sure where I saw this information. I think it was Prentice Penny talking about how they looked back and they really didn't think that Molly would take all the blame, but it was the way her character came out to where people saw that toxicity in that relationship really coming from her. And they didn't necessarily mean for that to happen. They wanted it to be kind of even, balanced, that, you know, it's a give and take, right? But I think her character kind of served that purpose of that, you know, how people, it's all about relationships, how we see each other, how we treat each other. And a lot of that has to do with what we think about ourselves, right? It gets projected onto the other people. So I think the show has been really good in making you deal with that, because in order for you to be a good friend, you got to be you have to be a friend to yourself first.
Exactly.
And Molly wasn't that. We're seeing that she's becoming that, though.
Yes. Yeah. I did like the way she approached things this episode and everything. I mean, she seemed a lot more humble. She seemed a lot more present. Like, she seemed like she was trying to do the work.
Yeah, and I think that she understands her screw up from the last season. And I think she really honestly wants to make up with Issa. But I think it's going to take a minute more for Issa to fully come around full circle.
Well, listen, Issa, she wasn't blameless either. So, I mean, as mad as we were at Molly, because I do think Molly was the main culprit, but Issa made some mistakes in the relationship too last season. So it wasn't totally one-sided.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't, but it seemed like the stalemate was broken when they both got robbed. So
yeah, that's what needed to happen, because they both were able to find the humor in that.
Yeah,
which was funny.
That was funny, and I mean, but Shy, wow, I mean, that is just
foul.
Let me say this.
Foul.
Right, but let me say this. I love the writing for that. I mean, that was a setup. Who expected that? I did not expect that at all. You know, that was crazy. That was really crazy. So that was, writing was perfect. I can't say anymore.
Yeah, and somebody else I was happy to see is doing much better is Tiffany, because she was in a very dark space last season. You know, I think it was like the postpartum situation and just all of the new feelings that come along with motherhood. And so it looks like now she's in a lot better spirits. You know, she has the support coming from Derek. You know, he was trying to find the tree that they had carved their names into, and I guess he couldn't find it, so he had to create a new tree. I thought that was like a good write-in to show that, you know, they're still doing well as a couple, and that he's still supporting her along that journey of motherhood and parenthood, I guess, in general.
She's lucky to have Derek, and I like to sit down and talk to Derek man to man, and get the full version of what's going on in his head. Because Tiffany's she's something to take. She's a hard cookie to take. So, and we'll see what goes on in these next few episodes.
Well, kudos to the show for showing like positive Black man,
Yeah,
good husband,
yeah,
good father,
yeah.
and stuff. So that's, I mean,
And
the
he can hang
importance
in there.
of having the power of the pen and having us doing doing the storytelling, showing different depictions of us.
And even with Lawrence, and in fact, most of the Black men on this show
Yeah.
have very positive roles.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I really appreciate that because they're one of the few shows that have that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, when you say that, it made me think about it, because even the idea of going back to Stanford, which is a predominantly white school, they still were able to center Black folk, which is typically what we do. We congregate because community is everything to us. And so you would watch that, and even though they're in that environment, they still found a way to make the us the center of it. We're there in the midst of this, but it's not about what's surrounding us. It's still about us. We're still the star of our own story. So
I would say unapologetically Black. You know, they were in there just being themselves and not really worried about having to code switch, you know.
Nope.
Yeah, which is so important. You know, you realize that you can't be anything and anyone else other than who you are. And often having to wear that mask is so much pressure that the thing we love about this show is that they take the mask off, you know, let their hair down and just be who they are. I think that over the arc of the show, that's probably going to be one of the most important things of that, is her really coming into her own and learning to be comfortable in her own skin. All of them, really.
Excellent point.
I tell you,
I'm so looking forward to this. You have something else to say, Tiff?
No, I was just gonna say, I like Nathan, but I want Lawrence and Issa to be together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just about to go there because it looks like, you know, some of the previews for the season, Nathan is coming back up. And then we even see Kofi, you know, he's joining the cast now. So happy to see him a part of the show. And, you know, I was just thinking about it, like Issa has had some nice prospects.
Yes, she has. Look, it might not be, you never know, it might be Kofi, who knows? Or she might end up,
even if her and Lawrence don't work out.
Yeah, she might end up with no one at all. She may decide that I ain't ready.
Yeah, but I think Lawrence is a perfect match for her, and I think that
I think so too.
Yeah, I think that they are kin spirit, you know, kin spirits or whatever you call it. But it would be a sad thing to allow for the two of them to not see that and not come together some kind of way.
You know, I keep hoping they find out that the DNA test come back and it's not Lawrence's.
Look, Condola is engaged to Chuck anyway. On 20s. So you got him, man.
Well, now you talk about that's even more. You talk about insecurities. Lawrence will have a problem, won't it?
Well, look, I rocked my Georgetown shirt tonight because Lawrence went to Georgetown.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, when he got pulled over by that cop.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know, I really enjoyed this episode. You know, I'm sad that, you know, it's still limited to the 30 minutes because I feel like I'm always left wanting more. But in general, I'm so looking forward to this season. It's the last one, so I know that they're not going to disappoint. They're going to make sure they go out with a bang. And just seeing all of the promo that they did leading up to this first episode of the season, you know, it was good to see everybody together kind of partying. They were dressed to the nines. I mean, they really brought out the fashions. And so it just looked like, you know, that off screen, they are a family. The cast, it seems like they get along so well. And that's why it makes it a little bit harder to see it go as well.
I think I'm going to be tearful on that last episode. It's going to be hard to see this show go.
I agree.
Yeah. But you know, it's kind of like the that saying, you know, they say you should leave while you're on top. and
Right.
not drag it out to the point where people can speculate and start downing your show. So I think it's appropriate to leave
No,
on a high note.
and she thinks that too. I've been watching a few of her interviews during this press run, and she pretty much thought that 5 was good to go. And plus she got a sweet little deal anyway. She got some other projects coming, so we can expect some more fire. And like Luanda said, we got On Demand. We got the app. We can always go back and rewatch Insecure. Yeah.
Plus Issa has gotten married. She kept that on the low for so long, and so congratulations to her on that. I know Yvonne Orji has a lot going on with her comedy and like her other pursuits, and so it seems
everybody
is like a really good place to like branch out, spread their wings. And I love that everybody's doing well individually also.
Everybody is thriving, and it's so good to see.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for watching. We're so happy to have you with us to recap Insecure. We will continue to recap it and mourn the loss of this show, but also celebrate it for all that it has been and all of the joy that it has brought us for these past 5 seasons. So make sure you guys are here every Sunday night. We will be recapping right after the show. And oftentimes we will try to go live so that we can get your participation also. So when we do plan to go live, we'll make sure that we give you guys a heads up so that you can, plan accordingly. Please drop down in the comments and let us know your thoughts about this episode and give us your predictions for where you think things will end up. Also, make sure that you catch us over on our BMF recaps. We do those every Sunday as well. Subscribe to our channel, like the video, and also click the notification bell so that you get alerted every time we post. We're also on social media. We are at The Spot Real Talk on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. So give us a follow there. Guys, got anything else?
I'm good.
I can't wait till next week.
Me too.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching and have a good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.